Hey YouTube, my name's Sean, and I've decided to make a diary of my Achilles rupture, which happened 4 days ago. So there's a few great blogs out there already. There's a guy in Australia called SJ who does weekly updates and has posted really informative stuff, which I've watched a lot of. It is about 5-6 years old, and there's been maybe a few changes, and obviously protocol and practice in the UK is potentially a little bit different. So I'm hoping to create something that both documents my journey, but also might be helpful for other people in a similar situation looking to gather information throughout their journey. So I'm going to start with how it happened for me, and then over the last 4 days, what the protocol has been that I've been following. So first, I happened playing touch rugby. Went from stationary to going into sprint, and classic felt sharp pain. Felt like somebody kicked me in the back of the leg. I dropped, looked around. Nobody was there. Tried to get up and couldn't. I had no power as soon as I went to put any weight or momentum through my toes. And then over the next half an hour, 1 hour, it started to get really quite numb, but also the pain started to come through. Luckily, there was a sports physiotherapist at where I was playing, so she was able to help give me a bit of guidance. So that evening, it happened about 8 p.m. in the evening. So that evening, I just dosed up on painkillers, tried to get a good night, and then my plan was to get it assessed in the morning. So the following morning, so day one, essentially, I went to A&E, got it assessed, minor injuries unit, and a doctor got me to lie flat on my stomach on a table with my both feet hanging off a hospital bed. He felt the good leg, he could feel there was an intact tendon, and then he felt the injured leg and could feel there was nothing. So just on a physical assessment, he said it's highly likely you have ruptured your Achilles, and then they put me in a temporary cast. So then, and what they did was they put the foot in something which you may have seen, equinus. So they're trying to create a position of your ankle joint where your toes are kind of pointing forward like a ballerina. This is quite an extreme position, but it's probably a bit more like that, maybe like a 45-degree or a 30-degree angle. And the reason for that is to try and pull the end of the Achilles tendon, which connects to the bottom of your heel joint. If you imagine this is your foot, and then where the rupture has happened, it means that the other end has attached to the calf has gone up the back of your leg, and so by moving it into this position, it brings the tendon a bit closer to help with healing. So that's what they did. I was in a temporary cast. Many people who are having care with the NHS at the moment know how long the waiting lists are, especially for operative procedures and elective care. So luckily I had private medical, so my plan was to always go down that to try and speed things up. So day two, my plan was to get privately assessed. So I spent all morning on the phone trying to find consultants that I could see who would accept the private medical insurance that I had. Luckily, I was able to find one. I had to travel into London, and I live just outside, so it was a bit of a journey. But in my view, it was completely worth it. He talked through the different options, the research, and it's probably worth me at this stage saying that I have opted to go for the non-surgical route, so conservative management, and I'll explain a little bit about that in a second, which is a bit different to me. I've had 2 ACL reconstructions from rugby, so that was surgery. I've also had a cam impingement in my right hip that was also surgically operated on. So in other words, I've been very used to and comfortable with surgical procedures. So going for a non-surgical repair my Achilles was a little bit different. And to be honest with you, I needed quite convincing. And I'm not a medic. I'm not a orthopedic specialist. So I was very much listening to the consultant to convince me. So why have I gone down the conservative option? There's a few really good randomized controlled trials and meta-analysis out there that have done well-powered studies looking at both non-surgical and surgical repair. And essentially what they seem to conclude is that the outcomes, the functional outcomes in terms of return to sport are just as good in conservative as they are with the surgical route. A few years ago, there used to be a higher rate of re-rupture in the conservative pathway, something around about 10 to 14%, versus something like 2-3% in surgical. But now with advanced conservative management protocols, the re-rupture rate has come down to around about, on average, about 3%. So in other words, there's no statistical difference really between re-rupture rates, whether you go down the conservative route or the operative route. The big advantage to not going operative is you avoid complications around infections, which has ended some sports people's careers. One that immediately comes to mind is Thomas Castanet, French fullback, utility back, had an awful experience, and you can Google him and find out about the infections that he got post-surgery. But then I think, there is some evidence to say that if you are a elite top-end athlete, the surgery will obviously fix that tear with a very strong stitch. So it mimics the healing process, but obviously repairs the function. So for athletes wanting to achieve that high-end power, that explosive power, there is some evidence to suggest that going surgically will more likely give that back to you. Of course, a lot of it is dependent upon how you stick to the rehabilitation. So I opted for the conservative route, and the consultant took me out of the temporary cast, and if I just switch the angle, he then put me into one of these Vacoped boots. So a few things to mention about this. The angle of the foot has been put automatically into a 30-degree plantar flexion, so to create that angle which is necessary. It's the middle of summer at the moment, so it's pretty sweaty, but it's super comfortable. And already the big advantage of using this, I just knocked off my prop, so I'm going to have to drop it down a little bit here. The immediate advantage is that I can semi-weight bear on it with crutches as well, so which I've been told is helpful for the healing process to maintain a little bit of calf muscle mass as well. So I'll probably do a bit more of a review on the Vacoped boot because this is now day 2 for me in it. So that's where we are. So I hope to give an update in 1 week's time. Let you know how the boot's feeling. I'll probably do a bit of an update on the type of aids that I'm using as well. I've recently purchased a shower chair because anyone with an Achilles or a foot injury knows how difficult showering is, and to keep it dry and out of the water. So yeah, hopefully this is going to be helpful for people going through the same process. That's it for now, and I'll drop one next week. Cheers.